Hi, everyone. Happy New Year. Bring yourself up to standing if you could. I've got a bit of a throaty thing. I did have a coughing explosion in the class last night. I went out into the hall and politely did it. But just I can't put my volume very loud. Is that the way I put it? I can't speak very loudly. Not a machine. So anyway, apologies if it's, I'll try and keep an eye on it. I've got some Ribena that Ali, another yoga teacher, just delivered to me. She said, you must have some Ribena for your coughiness. So I've got Ribena. I haven't had Ribena since I was a kid. I'm very pleased about that. Start with your feet together, Tadasana. Toes spread. Chest up. Breathing through your nose, if possible. Shoulders down. Investigative awareness. In other words, moving your feet to move the body, to tune out of becoming and being and doing and all the rest of the bifurcated experiences where there's a person doing an activity, a subject and an object. Moving out of that, loosening out from that, relaxing out of that through movement. So starting with the feet is really, really useful. We hold a lot of tension in our feet, I'm sure you know. But to release that tension, movement can help. It hydrates the hyaluronic acid. It moves the whole body further up as well. And then we're going to let that movement move from the feet, through the legs, through the pelvis. You can probably see my pelvis is moving. I'm not moving my pelvis, I'm moving my feet. And it's through moving my feet that my pelvis is moving. And because my pelvis is moving, so is my spine. Because the spine is moving, so are the muscles alongside the spine, right up through to the crown of the head. So we're going to take that movement, move it up through the body, right up through the body, and take it up to the fingertips. Now, as you raise your arms, it's important and useful to tone the tummy, in other words, to flatten the belly in, to draw it in as much as you're able. This time of year, there's been a few mince pies have gone down, probably, so it's a little bit more of a challenge. And then movement, obviously, of the nerves that run through the brachial plexus in the upper back to the fingers. And we're moving, again, to tune in / tune out. So it's the same thing. If you've got a radio, I've mentioned this many times, if you've got a radio, you just decide to tune it in, let's say for the sake of argument, to radio 6. And if it were previously on a different radio station, it can't be on both. You're tuning out of another. If it was previously on radio 2, then it's really important to tune it out as quickly as possible to radio 6. Press, raise, inhale, lift. Exhale, bend ankles, knees, and hips. Reach forwards and down. You can feel the back ribs stretching. Bring your fingers down to the floor. 9 times out of 10, the right thing to do is to keep the knees bent. But if it feels right to experiment with straightening the legs, that's okay as well. For me, that's definitely a padding of the heels, a movement of the knees. We're hydrating, and we know that movement increases the levels of hydration in the body. We know that for several reasons, not least the pushing out and then the rushing back in of hyaluronic acid. So as we're moving, we can feel that. We can even think of that like areas of pressure, increasing areas of pressure, and then releasing those areas of pressure. Not only does it increase hyaluronic acid, it also helps with blood flow, creating momentary blood stops, as they're sometimes called, that then open up through the channels, through the arteries, and help create some clearance there. Also, movement helps with lymph, so the immune system. Again, if you did experiment with straightening the legs, bend them again, raise your arms behind you. Again, movement's helpful, backwards, forwards, purposeful. Beautiful Sanskrit word, arta. Arta means something like purpose. The name of the Buddha is Siddhartha. Siddha means accomplished, purpose accomplished, mission accomplished. Kind of what Siddhartha, the name of the Buddha, is. Now, when you're ready, arms forwards and up in a squat, high or low, it's up to you. movement is absolutely useful, I think, if it's useful. It sounds obvious, but you've got to have the right kind of movement. The right kind of movement is the movement that is useful in terms of flow. Flow, breath, brain, body. We know that if anything is to flow, everything must flow. That's just because everything is everything. Stand up when you're ready. Big, wide circle. Hands to the heart. Breathe through your nose if you can. Feel down into the feet without holding the breath at all. Jaw soft, eyes soft, brain soft, throat soft. When ready, raise the left heel and feel into the right foot. Raise the left heel, feel into the right foot. Now, for me to feel into the right foot, I move it. I'm not saying that my way is the only way, but I know it works for me, so that's how I do it. I move the weight forwards and backwards on my standing leg foot. And in that way, I tune in on the foot arches. If ready, if you feel alive in the standing leg foot, then lift it up. Reach down with your hands and pull calmly, gently up. The stretch we focus on is in the standing leg, inner groin through front groin, without holding the breath. That's the important part, that the breath is expressive. And that there's really a lot of kindness, it's absolutely flooded with kindness, good yoga practice, absolutely flooded with it. If you feel you want to try, hold with one hand and pull up and out. You can counterbalance with the other hand if you want. Don't hold the breath again is the advice. Breathe through your nose if you can. Very good. Very graceful descent, we're saying in the room. Return back and another graceful descent. Shake it off a little bit. Shake it like a Polaroid picture, as Andre 3000 once wisely said. I think of Andre 3000 as a wise man. And in your own time, similarly, raise up your heel of the other foot. Feel into the standing leg foot arches through movement backwards and forwards. So I say arches. I think most people know that there's a medial arch, big toe side. Some people know there's a lateral arch, little toe side. And less people know that there's a transverse arch across the foot. So there are 3 arches per foot, 6 in total. So we really want to feel what? Life, energy. So what we might call strength, but strength means togetherness. And togetherness is a translation of the word yoga. So bringing togetherness to your standing leg foot arches. When you're ready, lift the foot up, reach round for the shin, pull up, breathe through your nose if you can. Don't hold the breath. Focus on the groin of the standing leg. The inner groin, the front groin of the standing leg. Expressive, honest, natural breathing. Expressive, honest, natural breathing. The groin of the standing leg. Opening it up. If you want to try, for fun, it's just for fun, holding, pulling up and out, and counterbalancing with the other arm. Flood the experience with kindness, and keep breathing. Flood the experience with kindness, and keep breathing. Turning to center, and placing down. Shake it off, shake it off, shake it off. Breathe, 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 breathe. Hands on hips, all sassy. Step your feet apart, even more sassy. Left toes in, right foot and leg out, turning on the right, ball of the right foot first, finishing the last bit off on the heel. Heel to arch alignment, double check. I'll check with you, for you. Looks pretty good, actually. Bend your front knee and re-extend several times, back and forth. That's it, so back and forth. Don't hold your breath, let your breath go. And when you feel looser and looser, in the breath, brain, and body. Remember, for anything to release, everything has to release. It's just the way it is, not an opinion. Then we can come down, rest the elbow. Morning, Simon. Raise your arm. Look up at what is, quite frankly, a beautiful blue sky. And then up and over is an option. For me, the best way to work with the acromion process, which is the prominence of the shoulder blade, is to go up, 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 up and over. That's my favorite working method. As some of you know, the Venerable Kadeen Morecambe has the method where she does the round and round thing. And the late, great Balur Krishnamacharya Iyengar had the plunge, like that. So you've got all those options. There may be other options that I don't know about. But integration. Arm down, palm down, push into the leg. Inhale, come on up. Well done. Deep breaths. Hands on hips, chest lifted. I think it's interesting to tune in on the pelvic floor. I usually do that through movement. I just move the pelvis around. Now, the pelvic floor obviously is bones and muscles and organs. But the muscles go between the pubic bone and the tailbone, and they're sort of like a hammock. It's sometimes called the pelvic hammock or the pelvic diaphragm. So you can feel from the pubic bone to the tailbone, as you move, there's muscular tensions that can be revealed and released. Nothing to think about, you feel it. You know, thinking won't do you much good in yoga. It doesn't do you that much good in most of life unless it's critical thinking. But the normal way we think isn't critical thinking, it's just blah, 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 isn't it? Back toes in, front foot and leg out on the ball of the foot. Finish the last bit on the heel. If you turn on the heel exclusively, you've now got the wrong alignment, which would be heel to heel. Raise your arms, bending and extending, breathing through the nose, back and forth. When ready, when loose, that is, coming down, turning. And then you've got your options. For me, as I said, it's the big circle. I want to reach up to the edge of a circle as far as I possibly can. I want to draw the biggest circle I possibly can and some. And that just pulls the shoulder blade so that all the muscles around it, the rotator cuffs, the rhomboids, the trapezius, all those muscles around the shoulder blade get encouraged to release. Don't hold the breath, lightly tone your tummy, don't look down. As David Bowie said on one of his albums, Tonight, I think it was on Tonight. That's a reference for Gay and myself, big Bowie fans. Breathing through your nose, jaw soft. Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog. So when you're ready, come into the downward facing dog. Breathe through your nose if you can. Jaw soft, eyes soft, throat soft, brain soft. And downward facing dog is a really wonderful way to release whatever the body mind has been holding by tuning in more and more to this. So if you start with, say, the palms, I find that useful. I tune in on the palms by moving the weight around and feeling, it's way beyond thinking, feeling every part of the palms coming into contact with the floor. It's way beyond thinking. For some reason, I often reflect on, I think there's a children's book called Bear Hunt, Going on a Bear Hunt. And there's a part of it where you walk through squishy mud, squish, squish, squish. You go through the long grass, swish, swish, swish. But in my mind, there's another part where you go through the thinking mind. I don't know what the sound effect for that is. There you go. And you go beyond it, through to the other side. Right? Through that, so beyond thinking, into this realm of knowing. Thinking doesn't know. We can go into a realm of knowing. Well done. Come down slow and easy. Kneeling, using a block if you find that useful, which many of us will. Seeing as things are heating up, I think it's time to remove the tank top. A radical move, if ever there was one. Breathe easy, jaw soft, bit of movement. Natural, organic, breath-centered. Natural, organic, breath-centered. So we massage ourselves into the moment. if you know what I mean. You massage yourself into the moment, like you massage it, like a hug is something in a way you massage yourself into. You spend a while there, there's a little snuggliness, and you massage yourself into it. Or any moment you can sort of massage yourself into. Even people sitting with the sun on their face, they sometimes move their bodies in a way that's sort of massaging it in. Mm. Mm. So breathing natural, breathing honest. Now release your hands when you're ready. We're going to fold this end of our mats over. And we're going to take 2 forms of block. Brick block, if you've got one. It's fine if you don't. You can use a regular block and a regular block. Now, I like to roll up my trousers at times like this because I want direct feedback. I don't want my clothing to move in a way that I can't feel. So that's why I roll up my trousers, just in case you're wondering. The block and the brick go something like that. The block is for your foot. The brick is for your hand. And then you're turning and breathing. So it's a version of Parsvakonasana, which we've just done, but a lot more scope for play. And play has a purpose, and the purpose is the shedding of karmic particles. So the play has a purpose, and the purpose is the shedding, the dropping off, the sloughing off of karmic particles, which we experience in various ways as a release of the breath, as a general sense of relief, a sense of opening out, a sense of pratibha, intuition. Pratibha means something like inner light. So these kind of releases of karmic particles are also associated with light. A sort of experience of increased light, which is particularly strong for me right now because I've got the sun in my eyes. Breath, breath, breath. Wonderful. Come on up nice and calm. We're going to use the same equipment but swap it around. If you've got a brick and a block, that is, we're going to put the brick in front of us down there on the floor. And we're going to use the block for our hands. Couple of things to say about alignment here. One is the heel lines up with the knee. That's alignment issue number 1, heel to knee. Alignment issue number 2 is the standing leg slopes slightly towards the straight extended leg. Doesn't want to do that too much, just a little bit. Alignment issue number 3, sorry to number them, is the placement of your foot against the block. The foot touches the block where the ball meets the foot arches. It's not on the ball of the foot directly. It's not into the arches. It's where the ball meets the arches. It's that meeting point. Once you've got all those alignments correct, bend and re-extend your extended leg, turning the kneecap upwardly, straight up, while keeping the weight down on the big toe side of the foot. This is a big ask. I'm asking you a big thing that will take a certain kind of meditation. So you're turning your knee, which would normally pull the weight off the big toe side of the foot, but at the same time, you're massaging, meditating, feeling the big toe side of the foot, staying down or coming back down. It's a subtle, long journey. When ready, you've got your regular block. That's for your hand. Stretch up and over. Breathe through your nose. Obviously, there's different options for the block, high, middle, or even low. The lower you go, the stronger your extended leg needs to be. Remember, strength doesn't mean tightness or furrowed brow. Strength means integration in this context. Light tone of the tummy. Breathe through your nose. Don't look down, as they say. Take deeper breaths. Wunderbar. Come on up. It was German for very, very good indeed. Let's swap calmly, because that was a journey. Let's swap calmly to the other side. So all the same foldings. While you're doing that, I'll have a sip of Ribena. Ribena. Marvelous. Not getting commissioned by Ribena or anything, although I'm open to it. If anyone knows Ribena as a company, you can tell them Jim Tarrant is open for sponsorship as long as I get free Ribena. Okay, there we go. So we've got the foot on the block. Remember, we're doing the first one first, which is the version of Pajva Konasana, like this. Breathe through your nose, play with it, block down, and down you go. Bottom ribs forwards, stretching up and maybe over. Again, for me, what do? As I go up, I suck my tummy in, I pull my chest forwards, and I really make the biggest circle I can as I'm turning my chest upwards. The biggest circle I can. There are other considerations, of course. You know, respond to the body as you find it. And little adjustments of your foot can do things like assist with any tightness in your knee. If there's any tightness in your knee, adjusting your foot can help. Don't hold the breath. Enjoy the moment. The blue sky coming back together. For me, it's really wonderful to come back together every year when we do. You know, I never know for sure whether we will. Here we are in 2026. Good Lord. Where's that moon base? Inhale, come on up. Been waiting for it since 1999, the moon base. Take a breath. Again, swap around the blocks so that the brick block is for your foot. Remember the placement, heel to knee. The block cuts in as well. The block cuts in at the point where the ball of the foot meets the arches. And then this little magical mystery of turning the knee, which is a movement of the thigh bone. The kneecap indicates the position of the thigh bone, but at the same time, separating off the lower leg so that stays in contact, the big toe side of the foot stays in contact. That's a meditation, because you've got to unprise these sort of automatic connections or sort of lumped togetherness that the body would otherwise have. So the knee's turning upright, so it tends to collapse a little bit in, but we want to turn the whole knee, so the middle of the thigh faces straight up. But the difficult part of that is keeping the even pressure down on the big toe side of the foot. Difficult only because if you approach it mechanically, it's not possible. When you're ready, inhaling, exhaling, coming down to your brick any height, strength in the lower leg, raising up, maybe over. This, of course, is a version of Parighasana. Light, beautiful light tone in the tummy. It's beautiful because you lose yourself. I think anything that you lose yourself in is beautiful. A kiss, a sunset, a piece of music, a physical sensation like a fragrance. Anything you lose yourself in is beautiful, including a yogasana. The adjustment, the readjustment, the subtlety, the endlessness. Inhale calmly, come on up when you're ready. Well done. Bring the leg back together next to the other one. Open up your yoga mat. Come to hands and knees when you're ready, with your head facing towards the midline of the room, which I'll arbitrarily designate there. Once you're on your hands and knees, a bit of movement, so circling the pelvis or moving it left and right. Personally, not thinking about it. If I think about things, I tend to get in a kerfuffle, which is a marvelous word, isn't it? Kerfuffle. But, if I relax, then there's a direct knowing, because the way things are is not predictable, but it is knowable. It's knowable by letting go of predictions, by entering into the moment directly. So this is what we're doing now. As we're moving the pelvis, or the pelvis is moving, we can feel it's correlated to the breath flowing more freely. much more powerful spontaneity. So like Bala Shakti. Bala means strong, and Shakti means power. So this powerful, it sort of arises from our fundament, from our core, you could say, and floods through all the provisional layers of our experience. When you're ready, keeping calm, keeping in touch with this super sensual spontaneity, we're going to raise the leg that's closest to me and the arm that's furthest from me for Vyagrasana. I presume that everybody's tummy muscles tone up automatically, and then we bring attention to that automatic tone and stretch the toned tummy. So it wants to keep the tone. That's just part of the integration of the posture. It's just part of the way the postural muscles come into play. But we want to elongate that toned feeling. Don't hold your breath. Move around spontaneously. Keep that super sassy spontaneity going. Back onto hands and knees. Deep breaths. Let go of some of the tension, expressive breaths. We've compared it to a closed fist becoming an open palm, or a tight flower bud opening up to a beautiful fragrant flower, or the full moon suddenly appearing from what were lots of clouds previously. So moving in that attitude to the second side, raising up opposite arm and opposite leg. Breathing through your nose if you can. Lots of play. Yeah. But the play isn't random. The play is purposed. There's that word again, purpose. Purposed for absorption, disappearing, reabsorption, returning to source. Different ways of putting the same thing. Breath, breath, breath. Well done. Back to hands and knees. Please, a bit of movement of the pelvis. Lots of expressive breath, really spontaneous, really expressive, really honest breath. In that context, expressive, spontaneous breath, walk your knees forwards towards your hands and turn your hands the other way round so that the heel of the hand faces forwards. As I've mentioned before, yoga is like crossing a river. It's like crossing a river. So you're moving from one bank of the river to the other, and they're completely different worlds. On the bank you start on, everything's independent. You, me, us, them, right, wrong, good, bad, can, can't, success, failure, and on and on. On the far shore, everything's interdependent. It's much richer. It's not made of these polarities. To cross over, 2 stepping stones only, rich sensation. We've got that in the wrists, right? Second stepping stone, giving to that sensation. You do that through your breath here and now. Giving to that sensation. So organic, natural breath, playful, meditative. Giving to that sensation. And that's how you cross over from the near shore, independent shore, to the far shore, interdependent. As a direct experience, like as a dance, as something you lose yourself in, something you fall in love into. Now slowly peel the hands back up one at a time and place them the right way round. If there are any sensations there and any reactions to those sensations, notice both. Sensations, reactions to sensations with kindness and breath. Now we're going to come down to laying down on what I call, you call, we call the tum-tum. The tummy, the belly, the abdomen. We're going to rest one hand on top of the other and rest our heads for a moment. And just notice 2 things. Notice the way the floor is pressing up, as it were, into the body. And notice the way in which, from the back of the body is releasing forwards towards the floor, the weight of the bones, the weight of the flesh. So there's two things happening. The floor pressing up into the body, it feels like. And the body releasing down. You can feel the muscles on the back relaxing into the back ribs, the back ribs themselves releasing forwards with the whole rib cage into the chest muscles and abdominal muscles. So everything's dropping from above and being pushed upwards from below. When you're ready, lift your legs and stretch them back with two things in mind. One, to turn the thighs to face straight down. The midline of each thigh faces straight down. So we avoid, for example, turning the heels in that way. The other purpose is to lengthen the legs, to make them stretch away from the groins. And we breathe into both of those. Then we're going to lift our heads and just prop ourselves up on the forearms. Stretch the tummy by moving left and right, really pulling backwards on the forearms, and pulling the body left and right, pulling backwards on the forearms. I don't know about you, but for me, I could do this for a long while, feeling the spinal column going deeper. We can feel that, can't we? The spinal column going deeper. Feeling ways in which we can lengthen, especially along the front face of the spinal column. Now, when you're ready, take your arms back, thumbs on the floor, fingers pointing back. Once more, lift and turn the thighs to face straight down. So you lift them. That usually means turning the heels out a little bit. Tune in on the pelvic floor. Everyone has one. And it's between the muscles between the pubic bone and tailbone, pubococcygeus, iliococcygeus, puborectalis, and of course, let's not forget the coccygeus itself. We raise the chest. We avoid turning the heels in by stretching through the big toe side of the foot as we lift up the legs. So lift up the legs. The thumbs can stay on the floor. We're breathing through our nose. We're concentrating on the living experience of the pelvic floor. And we're stretching through the big toe side of our feet. Breathing is natural, organic, and loving. Down you come, one hand on top of the other, rest your head on your hands, and take deep breaths. It's called Makarasana. A friend of the class, Yuko, sometimes she covers for the class. Lovely Yuko, everyone loves Yuko, quite rightly so. She tells me in Japanese, the word makra means pillow. So that's just by coincidence that this pose is called Makarasana, because in Sanskrit it's not pillow. For Japanese, it's pillow. So it's quite nice, isn't it? Your hands are a pillow. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you can be skillful with your placement of your head in such a way that the bones of your hands press into the area that roughly corresponds to Ajna chakra. That is the forehead energy center. Ajna or Ajna means command in Sanskrit. Mm-hmm. So pressing into that area. For me, I've done that for years and years. I've never mentioned it to a class before. This is the first time I've ever mentioned it, as far as I remember. But I always do it. And for me, it creates this feeling of release in that area, in the forehead chakra. So once you get that feeling, it feels pretty good. You can stay for a while, but we won't stay much longer because we're going to now lift our heads, tuck the toes under, stretch the legs back. If you tuck the toes under, push the heel back, the whole leg will lift and extend back. You can do that on both legs a few times to get the extension from the groins. Having done that, prop yourself right up on your elbows and forearms, stretch that tummy, breathe through the nose if you can. Jaw soft, eyes soft, throat soft. Get as much length now as humanly possible through the deep belly. We're talking about the psoas primarily. Now, the psoas is a muscle that we can feel in the deep belly as it attaches to the sides of the lower spine. So it's a really deep, it's posterior abdominal wall. It's the back of the abdominal wall. We think of the abdomen as sort of having a front, a sides, and a back. The psoas is at the back of that abdominal wall. Now, when we're ready, we're going to bend one leg and see if we can find a foot. This is the time of the class we look for a foot. Now, if you can get a shin, great. Ankle, fine. Foot, no problem. One of those three things. Usually, but not always, if there's one, there's often another. So see if you can get hold of the other one too. Breathe through the nose if you can. It's an accomplishment to get hold of one. It's an accomplishment to get hold of two. It's an accomplishment to stay with that. You can also optionally raise up the legs, draw the back of the body forwards, and lift the front of the body up. Don't hold the breath. Breathe through your nose if you can. This, of course, is Dhanurasana. Dhanura is a bow, Sanskrit word for bow. So you're like a bow. Calmly come back down when you're ready. Rest one hand on top of the other. Rest your head. Breathe deeply. I'd love to hear some expressive release of, whatever, whatever we've been holding. Now's the time. Let it go. And it's whatever the heart mind has taken hold of that we're letting go of. It's not just about letting go of things that we think of as not good, or you let go of whatever. Sometimes we're attached to things that we think of as really, really good. The Yoga Sutra says, Sukhanu Shairagaha. You experience something pleasant, and you go into craving for wanting it again. So we let go of that. Let go of the good, let go of the bad, let go of the ugly, let go of whatever. Now, next we're going to bring our hands underneath the thighs. So you can do that now. Palms facing up. Palms facing up. Breathe through your nose if you can. We don't need excessive tightness at the gluteal region. In other words, the buttocks are definitely going to work, as are the hamstrings, but we don't need to squeeze the buttocks together. We can avoid that. That's a different layer of muscle fibers that squeeze the buttocks together to those that lift the legs up, which is what we're going to do as we press with our fingertips, lift our heads, lift our legs. Press with your fingertips. Extend through the big toe side of the feet. Don't hold the breath. Find the pelvic floor. Breathe through your nose. Buttocks and hamstrings clearly active, but not squeezed together. Well done. Come down, release your hands forwards again. Rest one hand on top of the other. Take expressive deep breaths. Let's hear them. That's it. And so really letting go. Closed fist becomes an open palm. The flower bud opens to an open, fragrant flower. The full moon comes out from behind the clouds. Deep, natural, honest breath. Now, placing your hands underneath your shoulders so that if you were to draw a straight line from your shoulder tops down to the floor, your fingers would be just behind that straight line. The toes are tucked under, and we push up into Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog. Breathing through your nose, not holding the breath. Elongating the armpits. Beautiful meditation. I've often said, if I only was allowed one word to describe yoga, it would be the Sanskrit word dana, giving, to give. You give yourself to find yourself. Or perhaps putting it another way, we don't come to yoga to find ourselves. We come to yoga to lose ourselves. We come to yoga to lose ourselves. Thank goodness. You know, all the things people, psychologists often say that we are the person that people think we are. And we're thought of in many different ways by many different people. We get trapped by those impressions. So isn't it nice to shed it all? To shed it all. Age, gender, employment status, familial position, national status, current world views. To shed it all. Just make sure your hands are wide enough that you can bring your shoulders slowly and calmly forwards. This actually is very useful for anyone with wrist problems. You take it slow, you take it calm, you breathe through it. Putting some weight through the wrist is very, very useful. My favorite pose, of course, is Chaturanga Dandasana. So let's not hold ourselves away from our enjoyment, our happy place any longer. Let's come down to Chaturanga Dandasana and up to Urdhva Mukha Svanasana. That's the head up dog position, either with toes tucked under or toes pointing back. Breathe through your nose if you can. Tone the tummy. Press down through the back of the arms as you lift your chest. Press down through the back of your arms as you lift your chest. Keep that tummy toned. Drop the knees, hands and knees. Deep breath, please. Expressive exhales. Expressive exhales, spontaneous responses. In that context, take the arm furthest away from me, underneath the body, towards me, palm up. Extend the other arm out. Take deeper breaths. Breathe into the deltoid muscle that caps the shoulder. Understanding that that muscle is three muscles in one, in the sense that the front part of the deltoid is in charge of bringing the arm forwards, the back part of the deltoid bringing the arm backwards, and the middle part of the deltoid bringing the arm upwards. So we can even feel these different parts of the deltoid. Like spend a bit of time in the middle section. Just breathing through that middle section of the deltoid. Retract your extended arm, push down. Come back to hands and knees, back to intuitive action of any kind. Moving left, moving right, moving forwards, moving backwards. And then when ready, other arm comes underneath your body, palm facing up. Same thing. Extending out the other arm to keep the anterior spine open. Breathing through the nose if you can. And then meditating on the deltoid. And again, in particularly, let's focus on the middle section between the front and the back deltoid. Hold on. Draw that arm back and back to hands and knees, and then take a block. We're going to sit on a block. You can sit on two if you prefer. And that's, if you do sit on two, then you'll have another block on the floor behind you. You draw the butterfly out and back. You sit with your legs extended. You breathe through your nose if you can. You're looking for lightness and height together. So yoga is always like a bit like a riddle. You know, how do you get lightness and lift at the same time in the lower back? Lightness and lift at the same time. That's the riddle that we're trying to solve. And usually the answer is some sort of shift of awareness. So we move into something that's much more interdependent aware. So it becomes more like a dance where everything is incorporated. When we're dancing, every part of the body gets incorporated, every part of the mind even is given over to the rhythm of the music, the mood of the music. Similarly here, we're looking for lift and height without tension. See if you can get a bit more height and a bit less tension. Movement helps, I think, because you can sort of find opportunities if you move left and right. You find little opportunities. Now, once you've got that feeling, or beginning of that feeling of lightness, bend the leg that's closest to me and place the foot on the floor. Use your hands around your shin to lift and move and play. So you're getting height and space again together. So I do a lot of movement here myself. And the movement is there to avoid me slipping into me mode. We've all got a me mode, haven't we? And that's where I am. What am I supposed to do? Where am I supposed to go? How do I improve? The me mode is the wrong mode for yoga practice, as it is the wrong mode for dancing, even for a proper, deep, enjoyable conversation, it's the wrong mode. The me mode is the wrong mode for so many things. So it's replaced by this beautiful dance, this movement. Now, when you're ready, just take that straight leg and hop it a little, like 1 centimeter away from you. Just 1 centimeter. Then get a bit more height because we're about to turn towards me. I'm going to turn towards you, but you're going to turn towards me. When you feel loose enough in the lumbar, lift up and then turn. You can either wrap your arm around your leg like this, or you can hook your arm around your leg like this. What matters is really getting the belly muscles turned, really getting the abdominals, not just the muscles, but the intestinal region. So for me, I have to move backwards and lift and turn several times. You lift and turn and work on that belly tissue. So this, of course, is Marichasana number 3. Looks really good. Yeah. So there's a combination of leaning back, sucking the tummy in, lifting up, turning, and then locking it back in when you lean forwards again. And then you can repeat. If you work in lots of little movements, you'll get much, much, much further than if you try to do everything in one big jump. Lots and lots and lots of little movements. Okay, calmly release. Back to center. Give yourself whatever you need, a moment, movement or not. I'm moving my block. You're not going to move yours, however. And then you draw the buttock flesh out and back again. And when you feel ready, you bend up the other leg. Spend a bit of time softening and lifting, getting some height, getting some space, really breathing into it. Jaw soft. Just hop that straight leg a little. 1 centimeter is enough. And then go back to the lifting, shifting, moving, lifting, relaxing. Inhale when ready to lift high. Exhale, turning away from me towards your bent leg, either hooking around into the crook of the elbow or reaching right the way around. And then again, it's lots of little movements, working with the intestinal region, working with the thoracolumbar fascia on the back. Our mission, if we choose to accept it, is to hydrate, to really hydrate. That's lots of movement, lots of it. Breath flows, everything's flowing. The breath isn't flowing, nothing is flowing. Really good. Lots of little movements. Well done, gang. Release, return to center, and lay down on your backs, not corpse pose. Just tell you that quick, because sometimes we accidentally slip into corpse pose excitement, and I don't want to disappoint you, so I just try not to get you there in the first place. Support your head with a block. Breathe through your nose if you can. And notice selfless release. Everything's allowed in consciousness. That's the full sentence. The half sentence is everything is allowed, and that causes people confusion because then people think, oh, that means, littering is allowed, or, ecological disasters are, unmitigated and are allowed. It's not that. It's everything's allowed in consciousness. So when you let everything arise in consciousness as it is, consciousness itself responds based on the purity of what it receives. So consciousness itself is pure. It doesn't have any characteristics. It's just consciousness. It's the same consciousness that's been there when you were 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, on and on. I won't keep going on and on because it makes some people feel very old if you keep going on and on. But it's the same consciousness that housed the 5-year-old that now houses the whatever 8-year-old you are. So there's something familiar, and we often feel like, well, I'm somebody, But the 5-year-old was totally different, right? Different priorities, different understandings, different cravings. And yet, consciousness is the same. So the reason I'm saying this now is because let's just become aware, notice the sensations of our back, whether or not we have more weight on one side or the other, allow in consciousness. We don't need to think, oh, I've got to make things even, or I've got to make things balanced. Just notice and allow. Because consciousness has inherent to it spontaneous, sahaja, powers, shaktis. If you just allow the unevenness of the weight on the back of the pelvis or the back itself, you would just allow, then consciousness begins to change things rather than me, myself, and I. In other words, our actions become karma-less. Karmic-based actions are based on me, actions that I do, things that I want. When you're ready, flex your hips, lift your feet, and you'll feel your lower back and middle back in deeper contact with the floor. Breathe into that. Breathe into that. Reach your arms through the inside of your legs and hold the big toes. I quite like myself to lift my head up for a bit during this, partly because I can feel it makes a deeper impression into the abdominal tissues. And it's different. It's a different pose to the poses we do in our normal days, isn't it? There's not many instances where you walk into a room and find someone like this, huh? Or you go into an office block and find the workers like this, huh? Or a family event, you visit your family and you walk through the door and they're all rolling on the floor like this. It's very unusual. So the difference is important. Head can rest if you lifted it at any point. Rolling has a purpose. The purpose is for you to fall in love or disappear is another way of putting it. When you fall in love with something, you surrender to it. You surrender to its icha. That means its urges. So the icha of consciousness is different from the conditioned drives of our ordinary life. This icha, these urges that come from consciousness, take us into the interdependent directly. And the interdependent is what takes care of everything. In other words, if you're given to an experience of the interdependent, letting go of grasping just happens. It's not something that's like a mission. Sometimes when you meet Buddhists, and I've met a few in my life, they're quite interested in letting go, not clinging, that sort of thing. But nobody can abstain from clinging. But the direct experience of interdependence, that negates clinging. There's just nothing to cling to. It's more natural. It's natural. So legs can be together, legs can be apart. You can even change your hold to the little toe side of the feet if you want. Some people like to roll the whole pose. Some people like to take their legs really wide occasionally. There's some people with a wide range of flexibility even who might want to hold their heels instead. It's a favorite of mine, but I think it's not for everyone. Great. Okay. Well done, everyone. Release from wherever you're at in your own time. Feet back on the floor. Breathe through your nose if you can. Take deep, organic, natural breaths. So there's this expressiveness, isn't there? This expressiveness, this karana. So the karana shakti, the shakti of expressiveness. Swato, one's own, anubhavat. Anubhavat means coming from one's own experience. Now take the block that was under your head and place it instead under your pelvis so your tailbone hangs off the end and it's on its lowest height. Your tailbone comes off the end and is on its lowest height. For me, once I've put the block there, I have intuitive responses to want to move the knees, the pelvis. It's not that I'm thinking about it. As a person, like all people, I'm ignorant. Because the personality is ignorant because it's limited to what it believes, what it thinks. So personalities are ignorant, sorry. Breathing through your nose to yourself. But knowing doesn't come from personality, it comes from surrender. And then there's knowing. So knowing's accessible for everybody. Everybody can be the knowing. Now we're going to take the block, we're going to walk the feet in, we're going to hold the block, walk the feet in until the heels come up. Then we're going to tone the tummy in a wave, meaning the tummy goes in towards the spine and up as we pull the ribs towards the head. So it's an in-up action on the belly. As we feel that in-up action, we lift the pelvis and turn the block to its second highest height, adjusting and readjusting so that it feels right for us in terms of its position across the sacrum, which is part of the spinal column at the back of the pelvis. We're talking just above the tailbone. We're definitely not on the tailbone. But you'll know where the right place is. You'll feel it out. Then we're going to place our hands, once we've got the block in position, on the ribs. Hands on the ribs, on the lower ribs. And we're going to make an adjustment in a moment that's going to require us momentarily pressing our triceps, that's the opposite side of the arm to the bicep, tricep into the floor, lifting up our shoulders completely off the floor, opening the chest towards the chin and coming to the top of the shoulders as our landing point. So let's do that now. Press down, lift your shoulders right up off the floor, open your chest towards your chin, land on the top of the shoulders. Now your chin should be much closer to your chest. And you rest your hands back on the ribs, which will feel more stretched. Of course, if you feel the each hour to do that action, again, you can. Does it hit the calves? What? Not sure what you mean. What? Just what? Oh, I see. Yeah, it does. But yeah, I can see what's happening. If you walk your feet away from your head, Simon, and until your heels come down, then your calves will become peaceful again. Yeah, good question, actually. It was a knee-jerk. No, it's good. Well, yeah, you had your calf muscles were really active, weren't they? So good job. Lovely to see you. Happy New Year. Yeah, thank you. So you can let the heels come down if they're still up by walking the feet away. Breath deep, organic, natural. Walk in again, so you lift your heels up again. Flatten that tummy, open the chest, and come up. Take the block out, come down, land the feet, pop your hands under your head. Now let's all take a deep breath. Let's have some sighs. Let's have some release. Let's have some shedding. Oh yeah, whatever the mind has taken hold of, we shed that. It doesn't matter, good, bad, doesn't matter. It's not about that. It's about the power of emptiness, our true power. We are at our most beautiful. You are at your most, absolutely, the most beautiful that you can ever be is when you're empty or open. Then you're so beautiful when you're empty or open. It's a wonder. So we're learning to trust in emptiness. And then if anyone compliments that, that beauty, then that's fine. No ego grows because there's no ego involved. It's emptiness that is beautiful, emptiness that is knowledgeable, emptiness that is capable. So if someone compliments abilities that manifest because of your trust in emptiness, again, there's no personal pride in that, and the dangers of personal pride don't grow. Because we have a sense, well, it's not, it's not me, it's emptiness. Now, when you're ready, lift up your feet, knees bent, breathe through the nose, lower back close to the floor, lift up your head. Just for a moment, you'll feel that deep abdominal impression. Breathing deep, breathing natural, breathing honest. Slowly lower the toes towards the floor, toes only. And still breathe into it, still meditate on the lower back muscles. Then slowly let the heels come down, slowly. Let the head come down, slowly. Let a deep breath with a sigh-like exhale come out naturally, yeah. A few of those. So a few of those, just surrender. Release your hands from behind your head. Stretch your arms out so you form a sort of cactus shape with a 90 to 180-degree angle between the forearms and the biceps. So a generous angle between the bicep and the forearm. Breath, breath, breath. Relax the neck, relax the lower back. Lift the feet up off the floor when you're ready. Enjoy the lower back's contact. Enjoyment's a really important part of yoga. When you're ready, either let your legs just fall to the floor away from me, or swing your legs towards your head, bring your pelvis towards me, and then legs away from me, so that the pelvis can be used as a counterweight to the legs. Breathing. If you ended up kicking someone, it's a good way to get to know someone in 2026. Draw your tummy in, lift your chest, breathe the back arm back down. We're hovering or landing the legs. But whatever the knees are doing or the feet are doing, the knee is doing as well. So not landing the feet without landing the knees, or not landing the knees without landing the feet. Hover both or land both. Inhale calmly, swing back. Feet down, buttocks tucked, shoulder blades tucked, deep breaths, let's hear them. We're such people who come to these yoga classes, we're all sensitive people, right? We're sensitive people. Sensitive people are sticky people. So sticky people need to have times when they release, they shed, they drop everything. And in that way, you return to source. When you're ready, flex up again, and you've got the choice whether to bring the legs straight over, so legs towards the pelvis and over, or shifting the bum the opposite way to the way you're going to bring the legs. Try and keep the knees stacked if you can, in any way that you can. And then that deep movement through the deep belly, through to the chest, without holding the breath. So expressive breaths. Sucking the tummy in, pulling the chest up, breathing the back arm back down. Okay. Nice and calm. Roll back to center. Land the feet, scoot the buttocks, scoot the shoulder blades. Let's hear deep breaths from everyone. Like the body says yes. The skin says yes. The nerves say yes. Every part of the body says yes. From here, the full yes, of course, is Shavasana. So we're going to come into our full yes, into Shavasana. Anything you might need for Shavasana, socks, jumpers, little tiny pillows, hot socks. Don't forget this time of year, it's always a good idea to I should have told you, put your socks on the radiator at the beginning of the class, and then at the end you'll have hot socks. It's that old Hanover tradition, exactly. I used to put the socks on the heaters for everyone back in the Hanover. You remember the old Jim Tarrant from the Hanover Centre? Remember him? Yeah. He had long hair sometimes, didn't he? That's the one. We remember him. He used to do it for you. What a lovely guy he was. He was a bit fresh in there. He was fresher too, that young Jim Tarrant. Back in the distant past. Not so distant. 26 years he was at the Hanover. Anyway, this is the new Jim Tarrant, the tank top version. No socks on radiators. No. Mustn't spoil the students. Shoulder blades scooted under, chest buoyant, eyes, of course, closed. Every single part of our experience says yes. the skin, the muscles, the bones, the breath, the nerves. Experience 100% of the weight of the legs. 100% of the weight of the legs. Experience 100% of the weight of the pelvis. Experience 100% of the weight of the whole of the rib cage. A 100% of the weight of the left arm. Just feel 100% of the weight. The left arm and the left hand and the left fingers. 100% of the weight of the right arm, the right hand, and the right fingers. Feel 100% of the soft tissue, the weight of the soft tissue on the whole front of the body. Through the shins and thighs, pelvis and tummy, the chest, and even the face. Just feeling the weight of all the facial muscles releasing. Feel 100% of the weight of the head. 100% of the weight of the head. The wonderful correlation between settling and expansion. Feel gently into the body from this expanded experience. Feel the movement of the toes. Feel the movement of the fingers. Feel other movements coming spontaneously, like spontaneous stretches. Mm. Mm. When you're ready, bend your legs and place the feet on the floor. It's really lovely to scoot the buttocks under and to take a really deep breath to release the lower back completely. Release the lower back completely. Mm. When you're ready, roll over onto your side, facing away from this side of the room. Laying as comfortably as you can on your side. In your own time, roll Again, towards this side of the room. Letting light and color filter gently in. When you feel ready, bring yourself up easily from the side. Comfortable seated position with the hands at the heart center. This, just to mention, is white tara on the shrine. Green tara is over there. Whether it's white, green, yellow, blue, or any other color of tara, it's all the same tara. Compassion, immediacy. So if you agree with the following sentence at the end, say Om. You could even imagine that it goes from your heart to Tara's heart. Visualize that if you like. And then out to all sentient beings from her heart in all directions, as if she could sort of magnify the intention. May any benefit that we've gained in our acting in this way go to the alleviation of the suffering of all beings. Om. Allow a moment to visualize from your heart to Tara's heart, and from Tara's heart out in all directions, from the back of her heart, the front of her heart, above, below, forwards, backwards. Thanks ever so much for coming. I really appreciate your time. Lovely to see you all as well. Happy New Year as well. Happy 50th birthday year to any dragons. It's the year of the dragon. Some people are going to be 50 this year, I think. So that's a birthday celebration for those people. Obviously, it's not obvious, but I'm doing a gig on the 24th of January above the Hare and Hounds to raise money for Free Tibet. If you're interested in freeing Tibet or hearing the magical music of Molly Rose and others, then that's through Eventbrite. I'm also doing a book launch through Eventbrite at the beginning of February, and there's 2 workshops in February. There's one that's yoga chair workshop and one that's belt workshop, both in February, all on my little flyer. So if you haven't got the flyer, take a flyer, and then you don't have to think about nothing. They're in the hall, should be in the hallway. If there's not any left, then there's more just downstairs. They go like hotcakes. There you see. I know. Thank you so much. Thank you for coming. So much love to you. Happy New Year. Happy New Year. Thanks. That's a lot. Thank you.